Good evening and welcome to the Bishop One Church of England School. I'm Mr Aldridge, Head Teacher, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this evening's Year 11 Parents Information Evening. It was also my pleasure last week to welcome your child back to school fully, following their short return in the summer term. I have to say I'm impressed with the way that they've come back. They're full of confidence, have adapted excellently to our systems and the new routines that we've put in place. It's really exciting to have them back into school and to see their enthusiasm for learning. We've really missed them. They as children have grown in their time away, both in height and in stature. Whatever you've been feeding them at home and whatever support you've put in place has really paid off. Now this week, the formal timetable routines have begun, and after just 2 days, it seems like we've always operated in this way. All Year 11 GCSE lessons have restarted, and we've reserved our specialist teaching areas wherever possible for your children and their studies. Now, while there have been huge national concerns regarding the return to school, and I'm sure you're aware of the issues regarding this year's examination results, I'm very proud of the way our Year 11 students have reacted to the challenges ahead. Attendance across the year group has been excellent, and the attitude to learning and lessons absolutely exemplary. It is now our job together in partnership to ensure we can keep this enthusiasm for learning going as we begin to discover academically where your child is now and how we're going to keep them moving forward to what we believe will be a full set of examinations this summer. Now, I'm not a fan of the word catch up, as I know how hard and diligently our students have worked well away from school. But we will also begin to look at learning gaps and inform you of the plans as they develop across the year and as they are appropriate to your child to enable them to fulfil their potential. We are aware the final decision regarding the examination series this summer is due in October, but currently we're working towards there being a full set of examinations as normal, and we believe we're able to complete all of our timetables. Therefore, any adaptations or changes will be of benefit and provide additional opportunities for your child rather than hinder them. Behind the scenes though, we do have contingency plans for those changes, and there are more in place should more radical changes be put into place. In school this week, we're focusing on our school Bible verse from Thessalonians, encourage one another and so build each other up. This focus served us well and saved us through huge adversity in the summer term. But this time we're using it to celebrate and share positivity. No one in our lifetime has experienced a pandemic on this scale, and your child will be completing their GCSE examinations during one. It will live long in their memory, and there will be difficulties ahead, as there always are in the GCSE year. But there is much to encourage them about and much to build upon, and it will be important to recognise and remember at every opportunity what they have done well. Obviously this year, our homeschool communication support will need to change. We'll move our homeschool communication online wherever possible. It is our intention to run virtual events wherever we can. While different, these sessions show our and your commitment to your child's education and will help us to communicate effectively. Please also keep an eye out for our weekly bulletin, which will include updates and changes to any protocols that we may decide to put in place as we develop over the course of the year, as well as information relevant to each key stage. We've returned all our students to school as early as we possibly can to maximise the learning opportunities and put us in a position to communicate with you this evening. Tonight, this session will be led by Mr Dixon and Mr Leonard, and they'll be talking you through what we've done so far, what we'll be doing in the weeks ahead, and also providing an opportunity for questions and answers so we can all be on the same page as we move forward together to ensure we can realise the God-given potential of every child here at Bishop One. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I look forward to welcoming you to other future events, and I hope you enjoy the session this evening.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our live event with Mr Leonard and myself. I'd just like to start with the school prayer. Loving God, whose Son Jesus Christ is a companion and friend, on a journey to be more like him, grant us patience to grow, endurance in difficulty, and courage to walk the way of compassion and peace. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr Dixon, and a big welcome to you all to our Year 11 Parents Information Evening. Very surreal circumstances, as usually we would be in the hall for this event, and it is quite hard to believe that it is 3 years since I first did this when your children were in Year 8, and that this is in fact their last Parents Information Evening in the lower school. This time 12 months they will of course be having their Parents Information Evening as part of our sixth form, we hope. It's been a fantastic start to the school despite everything that we have put onto our Year 11s. We put so much expectation upon them. We've asked them to rise to an awful lot of challenges, but from speaking to the other members of staff and from speaking to the students, it's all been really positive so far. The staff cannot speak highly enough of how well your students, how well your sons and daughters, have adapted to the new changes and settled into the new school year. It's been a really great start, and we hope that keeps up. Tonight we're going to give you as much information as we can do. There will be an opportunity obviously to ask questions at the end, and thank you to those who've already submitted questions. This will all be available, I believe, afterwards via the school website as well. So please don't feel like you need to take notes or anything as we are going through. I'd like to begin with giving you the point of contact for your relevant form tutor for your son or your daughter, and for myself. I'm Mr. Leonard. If you haven't met me before, I'll be the head of Year 11 for the year ahead, and my email address and phone number should be visible on the left hand side of the screen. We are very lucky to have a really experienced tutor team. We've got a lot of consistency as well, with 11C, 11K, 11L and 11W retaining their same form tutors from last year, who have already built up an excellent relationship with your sons and daughters. Their email addresses are on the right hand side of the screen, and they should be your first point of contact for any issues or concerns that you have got about general school day. They will be able to help you and are happy to help you with whatever they can do. We're very lucky as well this year, where we have had 2 tutors leave us in 11S and 11Y. We're really lucky to have replaced them with some great experience. Both Mr. Patchpole at 11S and Miss Child in 11Y have been Year 11 form tutors in the past few years and really know how to support exam students and how to support Year 11 students as form tutors, and we're really lucky to welcome them as part of their team. They will be contacting you this week to make an initial introductory email, so you've got that point of contact and you can save that email in case you need to respond to it quickly to raise an issue with them. I know they're really excited to be working with your children this year. A couple of key dates. A lot of stuff is a little bit to be confirmed and stuff is up in the air, but to give you a little bit of structure for the autumn term at least, what is definitely happening is you'll see at the top we've got an inset day on the 25th of September, and that's Friday, and your sons and daughters won't be in school on that day. And also confirmed is the half-term break, which is the week commencing the 26th of October. We have got a school closure on the 20th of November, but that is to be confirmed. As soon as that is confirmed, that will be done so via the school website. And also in this term, we are looking to run our pre-public examinations, the mocks. They typically take place towards the end of December, towards the end of term, but we will confirm the date of them as soon as we possibly can. And then another definite date will be the end of term, the break up for Christmas on the 18th of December. As dates get added or changed, we will of course make sure that we keep you in contact as quickly as we can do. We have obviously adapted to a new technological world over the past couple of months, and we've got a number of resources available via the school which are going to massively help you support your sons and daughters this year. The first is Insight, and that is our school communication system which allows you to receive information on how your child is doing in terms of their behaviour on a day-to-day basis. You'll be able to see the good notes and hopefully the very few negative points, and also you will receive any school reports via Insight, which is a really useful tool. You should still be able to access that from last year. If you cannot, please do contact Mr. Griffiths. You will also be able to find a lot of useful information like the school timetable for your son and daughter on that site. The second site which we continue to use below that is Parent Mail. We have a lot of things happening this year which we are planning on 100% happening, such as the school prom, such as the production of yearbook and leavers hoodies. They will obviously require some payments, and that will be done by Parent Mail, as will things like canteen orders or any other payments that might be needed. Show My Homework we continue to use. It has had a bit of a rebrand. It's now called Satchel One, but that can still be accessed via RM Unify and will be still the main way in which we contact home via when we're talking about homework or when teachers are setting homework. It will all be on there. We also will continue to use Microsoft Teams like we did during the lockdown period. We have kind of developed that as a school and are much more happy about students and staff and using that. A lot of our virtual events that Mr. Aldridge talked about will take place via Teams. and it's also an excellent way for your sons and daughters to communicate with the teachers, to seek extra support and extra help if they do need so. So please make sure that you have got access to those apps, and if there are any problems with accessing any of them, please don't hesitate to get in touch as soon as you can do, either to myself or to Mr. Griffiths. Things that will not change, we will obviously be keeping you as up to date and up to speed with your sons and daughters' achievement throughout the year, and our predictions for where they will kind of lie towards the end of the GCSE and where we predict that they will get as GCSE results. And you'll receive 3 reports throughout the year, and they will not change. You'll still get the colour-coded grades, which will be compared to target grades. And where students are below target grades, we will obviously work as a pastoral team or with the classroom teachers or the heads of faculty to provide whatever support we can do. We also are really keen this year to ensure that we support the students with their revision as much as we possibly can do. And those of you who've had sons and daughters in older year groups may well already be familiar with the Wise Revise system that Mr. Wood has developed and put into practice. And I know the feedback from previous year groups has been really great. We're going to start that system in the coming week, and students will have a weekly session with their form tutor working on Wise Revise, building up the revision skills that they'll need not only this year, but when they move into the 16 and 18 months options as well, and hopefully get them as confident and as comfortable with their own revision as we possibly can do. We have also really excitedly in the lockdown period appointed a brilliant team of prefects to lead and represent the student body. They are, I know, really excited to get started, as are we, whilst their role has been changed a little bit because we cannot have them interacting with the year 7s and offering that support that they normally would do in previous years. We will be having our initial meeting this coming week with the prefects to look at their role and how they can support us and how we can get them as involved as possible as the leaders of the student body. So if your son or daughter has been appointed as a prefect, that is a huge achievement, and you should be rightly proud of them. Please do congratulate them. Our uniform expectations of the advice of the government have not changed. We continue to have the same uniform expectations. We still expect the full uniform to be worn every day. Please pay particular note, of course, and thank you for your support coming off the back of some holidays with this, but please do pay particular note to the haircut rules in terms of no less than a faded grade 2, no lines or carvings or anything else inside, or no dramatic colourings or dip dyes or anything else like that. If we can continue to support with the wearing of school shoes and obviously avoiding piercings apart from one stud in each earlobe, nothing like a nose piercing or anything else if possible, please. Any other information, if you're not sure on anything about the uniform, please do have a look on the school website, or please do get in touch with either myself or your child's form tutor for clarification if you're not sure on anything there. Attendance is obviously going to be really important this year. Students have unfortunately been out of school for quite a while, and whilst I know they've got a really excellent home learning deal, and we want them in school as much as possible this year. If we could try and have students in for 8:30 each morning, preferably before 8:30, it's at that point we will be opening up the gate for them, and they will be coming in and meeting their form tutor for the AM registration. We've got a really short turnaround in the morning. We need to register students, make sure they're fully equipped for the day, and deal with any issues that they may have or they may bring to school. So if they can be as punctual as possible in the morning, that really helps us get the day off to a smooth start, and helps us as a pastoral team and their form tutors to offer any support that we can do preceding school and in that time in the mornings. Obviously, we have got added complications to attendance with potential COVID symptoms. So if your child does experience any of those symptoms, follow public health guidance and keep them at home whilst you're awaiting tests. We do have from the Department of Education a new attendance coding system, so students do have to isolate for whatever reason. They will be coded separately and it won't go down as an unauthorised absence or anything like that. We fully understand that there may well be periods, hopefully there won't be, but there may well be periods where students need to remain in school for reasons linked to isolation or potential symptoms. You can see a chart on the right where if you look at the impact of attendance on GCSE grades, and of course that becomes more important this year, as that's ultimately the aim for the students at the end of the year is to maximise their grades. The more they're in school, the more likely they are to get those 100 grades. Our phone times have changed a little bit, and the tutees and students will be very aware of this so far. Like I said already, we've got a 5-minute registration each morning, which is quite a quick turnaround, and we just have the opportunity to make sure they're here, do the registers, check they're fully equipped for the day, and if there are any issues arising, deal with them then. In the afternoons, the new addition is we've got a 10-minute duty time at the end of the day. And you can see the schedule there where on different days they've got assemblies, and some days they will be spending their time looking at Mr. Wood's revision resources, or indeed partaking in their collective worship or PSAG. For PSAG, that has been kind of allocated to Friday sessions, but you may or may not be aware that all resources for PSAG are being uploaded on a weekly basis to the school website. So last week's resources are already uploaded there by Mr. Dixon. So please do have a look at them. Please do use them at home and help use them to help guide your conversations with your sons and daughters about what PSAG topics we are discussing in school. And we unfortunately won't initially be able to hold assemblies as normal, where we get the year group together in a collective in the hall. So instead, all assemblies will be taking place via Teams, much like this assembly, or much like this meeting this evening. We have a pure check system, and that's where we run a system with the tutors and check that all equipment is in school that is needed for students every day. And you'll see a full list of equipment that we need the students having in every day on the right hand side of the slide. There are a couple of additions I just want to draw your attention to. Obviously, with these social distancing regulations, we can no longer as teachers move around the classroom. So to help us gather information from the students, we probably ask them to use the whiteboards on their planners a little bit more, so that we're not having to hand them whiteboard markers every lesson and collect them in, which obviously carries a risk of sharing equipment. And please can you make sure that your sons and daughters are coming to school with a whiteboard marker, and preferably something to erase their whiteboard workings out with. Oftentimes students will just use the Blazer to wipe it clear. Obviously that provides issues in that you're going to end up quickly ruining a Blazer. So either a whiteboard eraser or a small piece of cloth as well. I'll also draw your attention to the glue sticks, and that's a new addition too. For the same reason, we don't want to be sharing glue sticks between teachers and students, and indeed between different groups of students. So if they can come equipped with everything on there, the rest I believe is standard to what has been in previous years. And if I can just draw your attention as well to the calculator, I'm sure the maths and science teachers will have spoken to the students this week, but now is a good time to invest in a calculator for the year ahead if you haven't already done so. Casio ones tend to be the ones that we recommend. It's a good point in the year to buy now because we're back to school. Places like Tesco and Sainsbury's tend to be running special offers on calculators. So if you do need to pick up one for the year ahead, now it's a good point to try and get a Casio one sorted. There's been a little bit of a change towards our detentions and intervention system as well. They all now move to after school. I'm sure you'll be aware that our breaks have been reduced in size, so we now have 2 20-minute breaks during the school day. So we're now going to run our detentions after school on the same day where possible. If it's not possible to run them on the same day, if your child needs to get the school bus, for example, or has got some other appointment, we will obviously be flexible in rearranging them to a later date. But where possible, we want to get them out of the way. Those detentions will be held within their year group bubbles, so they will be held within the Year 11 building, hosted by a member of the Year 11 pastoral team, either myself and one of the form tutors. But the teacher who issued the detention, or maybe the head of department for that department in which the detention was issued, will be coming and having restorative conversations with your child. If you have any concerns about a particular subject, or how your child is performing or progressing in a particular subject, please do get in touch with the heads of department as quickly as possible. It's better to do that quicker rather than later, so that any issues can be sorted before they potentially develop and are left. Homework expectations this year don't necessarily change. We will still be issuing homework. We will still be issuing with the same regularity we have done before. So you'll see that it's an expectation of once per week for core subject. That's your maths, your English, your RS, and your science. and once per fortnight for the other subjects. Each piece of homework should take roughly 50 to 60 minutes, and this we would expect to be in addition to the regular revision that hopefully the students will be putting into place as well. If your child is taking much longer than that allocated time to complete the homework, please do try and minimise that. Please do try and stop it and make communication with the classroom teacher. There's going to be a lot for the Year 11 students to juggle this year between revision and their homework. So if they're doing pieces of homework that are taking 2-3 hours, we want to obviously stop that early on. So please do make contact with the relevant teacher if you think that we need to make changes to that particular piece of homework. This year we will have students completing coursework. We will have students who potentially will be open to plagiarism rules. We have gone through these in previous parent information evening, and there is a lot of information out there. And I'm not going to sit and go through this with you now, but in the notes that will be sent out, in this PowerPoint that will be sent out, there will be full information on the school's plagiarism policy and how to avoid plagiarism when conducting things like coursework. Obviously, if plagiarism is suspected by an exam board, that can lead to potential disqualification. That's something we really want to avoid. I mentioned earlier, if you do have any issues, if you do have any concerns, please do get in touch as early as possible with the relevant heads of department, or if it's a pastoral or general concern, with either the form tutors or myself. A full list of heads of departments and their contact email addresses are on the screen now. Again, they will be available by the school website after this presentation. I'm now at this point going to pass over to Mr. Dixon in just a minute. Actually, I'm not just yet, I've jumped the gun a little bit. We do have some information before I pass over to Mr. Dixon about some of our core subjects at Bishop Wand. We don't have a representative from English here this evening, but full information again will be available in the notes that go out after this. But what I've been asked to pass on is that the best thing our students can be doing this year is to read. Keep reading their text from the GCSEs, become as familiar as possible as they can do, and keep using resources like GCSE Pod. If you've got any specific concerns about English, please do contact Miss Ward, whose email address is on the screen now, or the head of English, who is Miss Dodd, whose email address would have been on the previous slide. The second core subject is maths, and obviously that is my area of expertise as well, and I've got the pleasure of teaching some of your children this year in maths. We are really looking at maths. Actually, we tend to leave the end of year 10 schedule a little bit blank to allow for a bit of revision, and we've had also an extra year, and we would have started our GCSE content in year 9. So we're in a really nice position with maths that we're not playing catch up quite as much as we potentially could be doing. In fact, the students have managed, or will manage, to cover pretty much everything in school by December time, leaving us quite a lot of time for revision. If your child is in set 1 and set 2, it's very likely that they will be doing the higher course, and set 2 is a little bit of leeway and a little bit of scope for flexibility between higher and foundation, and you'll probably have some conversations with your child's teacher when they do the pre-public exams as to what level we think your child will do best at, and at which level they will succeed and get the best grades at. Set 3 or 4 are typically foundation, but obviously if we do spot in pre-public exams that someone is capable of doing the higher paper and has got that potential to go on and hit grade 6s and 7s by hitting the higher paper, we would certainly make sure that that option is available to them. Again, please do get in touch with your maths teacher. I know they have been sending some introductory emails this week as well, and a lot of the maths teachers have stayed consistent from last year where possible. So please do get in touch if you've got any questions, any concerns whatsoever. We have got a number of maths resources available. Mr. Nietzsche has asked me to highlight the revision workbooks, the revision guides, and the revision cards which are available through the school. But there is a whole host of online resources which are available and free for you to use. You've obviously got Hegarty Maths, which you will all have logins for, and hopefully are very familiar. I'm sure you were using this quite a lot throughout lockdown. There are other websites that your teachers may have directed you towards, such as Dr. Frost Maths, and indeed Corporate Maths, which is available for everybody without any login, and it's got a huge amount of revision resources, questions for you to practice, and basically anything you could need to get doing a little bit of maths at home. That leads me on to science, which is Mr. Dixon's area of expertise, so I am going to pass over to him at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Lennon. Practicing the hygiene rules that we talk to our students about, and just practicing that as well here. Thank you all again for attending. Thanks Mr. Leonard for that information. I'm going to pass a little bit of information about science and then on to the sixth form. You all hopefully have access to Caboodle, which is one of probably the most useful parts of resources for our science students. So please make sure you've got that login for Caboodle and GCSE projects are invaluable. You've got the online textbook there, plus a whole lot of extra resources in Caboodle, so very, very valuable. Likewise with mathematics, there's additional resources and workbooks that are available, and these will be on Parent Mail as well, so you'll be able to look through those and purchase those if you haven't already purchased them. Hopefully you do this in year 10, and so you have those resources already. So on to the 16 plus option choices and options process, which I know there's a lot of questions about that have come through already through our questions about the 16 options process. We are working through that. We've already started that 16 options stage. So we start at key stage 4. We're giving our GCSEs. We'll move on to the key stage 5. They might be doing A levels or foundations learning. They might go on to an apprenticeship or possible employment of some form. And then beyond that, the 18 pathway, where they may be going on to further education, higher education, apprenticeships, employments, or other ways. We know that about 82% of our students will go on to sixth form colleges of some form, continuing their education. And that's great. Many, or most of our students will stay with us, and we're really looking forward to keeping most of you here beyond GCSE. We're really looking forward to expecting you here. But what we also know is that about 40% of the students choose the wrong courses. They start a course and it's not the right course for them. And that's something we need to start talking about and thinking about, and something you as parents can start talking with your children about, what courses are right for them, what's the right course for your son and daughter, so that they make that choice correctly. There are other local colleges you might want to go and explore. Obviously, we are promoting Bishop One School. There are other options you can go and look at, and those open evenings are available on the different schools' websites. We will have our own open evening. It will be probably a Teams event and live from the school, but please do consider us as your first choice, and that's where you're going to be going on to. But there might be other courses and places that you might want to explore as well. The 16 plus options process is a long pathway, and it may seem like it's going to take a long time to get there, but actually there's lots of things that students have already done. They've begun the pathway already. They had the transition event early last year, the open event last year in year 10. They had an open evening event where they logged on to Teams and had some information. We'll have our further options later on this year, and further information from subject teachers that will carry through, and we'll have the post-16 options interviews as well, so that will all carry through. The PPEs will contribute to their results, and that will give them an opportunity to then apply for the courses. So they'll put their application into the Bishop One, they'll be saying this is the course that I want to follow, and they'll put their first choice of courses into Bishop One, and from that we will put out our offer letters. And again, we are hoping to offer almost all our students a place here at Bishop One. We do fundamentally offer A levels, but we do have some other vocational courses which are suitable for other students. So please don't think if your child's not the most academically minded student that they can't come to Bishop One. There are requirements they need to meet there, but we would encourage them to look at our course and our selection of courses, because we think that for most of our students there is a course available for them. From there, they'll go on to their GCSE exams, and we're hoping they're probably about May, June. The government is updating their dates for those exams, so when they are finalised, and I know there's a bit of news at the moment about when those final exams are, when that is finalised, of course, we'll keep you informed. But at the moment, they're scheduled for May, June. They may be pushed back this year, but of course, the marking has to be done, so don't expect a massive pushback. In July, they'll have their taster sessions for the sixth form, and then finally in August, we expect those results to be somewhere around more towards the end of August. Those results will be released. This year it's the 20th of August. Next year we suspect it will be somewhere similar date. So questions that you really should be thinking about and considering: is it the right course, and is it the right subjects for your son and daughter? How many should they be doing? What should they be doing? Are there better exams? Are there better coursework? So there's lots of questions you can begin to have with your son and daughter about those subjects. And considering what those 18 plus choices are, where do they want to go beyond there? What's their desire, their drive, where do they want to be in 5-10 years time? And so hopefully we can get those courses, the right courses for them, and so they move in that direction. They also need to be happy. We know that our students are largely happy here. We do encourage them, we support them immensely well here, and we know that most of our students are happy. Some students look to go to change, and sometimes that's a wrong choice because they make a change for change's sake. Make the change for the right decisions. Most of our students, as I say, are happy here. They're here with their friends, and they know their teachers. And that pastoral support that we offer is really encourages those students to achieve their best. And of course, we are here to make sure they achieve their potential. So thinking about where they're going to be happiest, and hopefully that is Bishop Wand. How will they get there? And that's another thing that a lot of students think. They go, oh yes, we go to college, forgetting that the journey is an hour's journey. And then they suddenly realise what a miserable time in the middle of winter commuting to another college. It's just no fun. We are your local college. We are providing that, and it's nearby. Consider that as well. We inform you about your progress very well, and we guide you beyond 16 on the future courses and getting those UCAS applications, because we know those students so well, helping them get into the university and their post-AT choices. We are there to support them throughout that. So when you are considering colleges, really do consider those questions about where they will be best suited for. And we as the teachers and all the staff at Bishop Wand firmly believe that most of our students are best here at Bishop Wand. So I'm going to pass back just to Mr. Leonard before we close with a couple of questions. He just wants to have a couple of final remarks, and then we'll be taking on your questions that you've both posted in advance and potentially through this event.
Yeah, I just want to kind of wrap up by saying, firstly, year 10s, now 11s, since we have had to leave school in March, have shown just an amazing amount of resilience and just been absolutely brilliant in everything that they've done. Their work throughout the lockdown period that was being done virtually with their teachers was of top standard, and has put them in a really good position to tackle everything that year 11 is going to have to offer. The period where they were in school, for those who were in school back in July, again, was a really positive time. I hope they found it really useful, because the members of staff did, and spoke really highly of how they applied themselves with a general attitude when they were in school, and thankfully that's continued into year 11. It's going to be a tough year. Any year 11 is a tough year. Any year you're working towards a final set of exams, and thinking at the same time of your 16 plus options, and also dealing with all the trials and tribulations that being a teenager brings, it's going to be a tough year. We've obviously got the added complications of all the COVID restrictions and everything else that's been put on us from the school. So it's going to take a lot of resilience from young people. They will have difficult days. They will have days when they're feeling down or stressed or worried. It's at that point that we as teachers, you as parents, their friends, anyone else in their support network are going to have to offer them support and give them that kind of either shoulder to cry on or motivating words or whatever it is that they need at that point. It's going to take some hard work from the students. Nothing worth having doesn't come along without doing a bit of hard work first. So they are going to have to be willing to put in some hours worth of work. But hopefully at the end of this school year, we will have put the students through their hard work, through the support we offer them, in a really good position, not only to have achieved an amazing set of GCSE results, but to make sure that whatever their 16 plus options is, whatever they want to go or do in the future, that we leave as many doors open as possible for them. It's been a real pleasure these past couple of years to be your child's head of year. It's a really fantastic year group. I'm really excited for the year ahead. I'm genuinely chuffed to be back in school, working with young people on a day-to-day basis, and back working with the year 11s. I hope we've answered any questions. I know you have had the opportunity to ask any questions this evening, which we will hopefully now answer. If something pops into your head over the course of the next few days, please do not be afraid to get in touch with me, and I'll get back to you as quickly as we can with hopefully an answer. Thank you very much for attending tonight, and I believe we're on to questions.
Thank you again. Obviously, these resources, this PowerPoint will be sent around to you after this event, and we do hope to be able to promote, publish the recording of this as well. It will take us a few days, so please bear with us. We will try and put some of the questions and answers also on the website, some of the common questions and answers. The few questions that have come through to me first, I'll come to the ones that are online at the moment, but just start with the ones that are pre-issued here. When should we be looking at college course in sixth form enrolment? Well, from now. So if you've got a college that you're not beyond Bishop One that you're looking at, please go and look at their website to see when their open evenings are and when their enrolment forms need to be submitted. So they will all be specific to those colleges, and you'll need to start looking for those if you have something in mind. They'll all be published on their websites. In terms of students and student sanity and everything else like that, there's a few questions about toilets. We'll address those within the school. I'm not going to address them on this evening here, but we do have buckets of hand sanitizer around the school. We have so much hand sanitizer, it is no shortage, and is available in every single lesson. So we do encourage our students to sanitize their hands when they walk into the lessons, every single lesson. So it is available there. I would actually recommend they might want to bring some hand cream as well, because their hands might even dry out after a while by putting so much hand sanitizer and washing. So it is absolutely available. The Mr. Schooling part, we know our students well, and we will pick up those areas where students have missed schooling, and we trust our teachers. All this year is about making sure they've got the best experience they've possibly had, and we will support them through that. And I know Mr. Leonard's already addressed that there as well. And I'm hoping all the other sixth form questions that we've actually put through here have been answered. I'm just going to grab my laptop so I can actually answer some further questions. Just give me just for a moment while I escape out of that.
Whilst you're doing that, Mr. Dixon, I will just address one question that did come in, which was about if we are hoping to have a prom. The prom is provisionally booked for Thursday, the 8th of July. Obviously, that will be subject to all COVID restrictions and everything else at that time, but all the bookings are done. We are proceeding with the planning as if we are having that prom on the 8th of July, and we will do everything within our power to have that event, and likewise for yearbooks and Leavers Day and every other traditional event that we have at Bishop One to mark the end of year 11, we will, if possible, be still going ahead with.
Right, starting off the questions, I want to buy revision books for my son, but I'm not sure which examination board subjects are with. How can I find out quickly without having to contact each teacher? Some of our stuff will be published on these PowerPoints, so please go back and review the PowerPoint slides and the deck that we send out after this. That will be my first direction. There are things obviously for maths and science that are available, so please, if they're available on the parent mail, that would be the ones we would recommend, so do purchase those ones in particular. So otherwise, contact the head of faculty if none of that information is available. In terms of catch-up sessions after school, I don't know if you've got anything to answer to that, Mr. Leonard, at the moment. Catch-up over the next couple of weeks.
That will be subject specific, so some subjects may feel that they need that catch-up time a little bit more, and we will have the availability for students to stay within their bubble after school. We're going to start our homework club, I believe, from next week as well. There will be catch-up sessions on a subject-by-subject basis, depending on what the teacher feels is necessary at that point, and they will obviously communicate directly with you where they are available.
Thank you. What is the plan if someone falls ill during school time? Well, we do have a medical suite where we can send students if we need to. We are following the guidance there. Now, if someone falls ill, just like normal, they go to the medical room if we need to contact home. If they are, of course, COVID symptoms, then we'll send them home and get them tested, and we'll follow our protocol. We have a very long risk assessment, which we don't want to go into the details too much, but it is all available on our website. There is an enormous amount of information and strategies we take very, very seriously at keeping your children safe. And we will keep you informed about anything that we feel that is appropriate that you keep informed, and we're not going to be hiding anything of that, because your safety and our safety is paramount, and we need to communicate, well, we will communicate what we need to. So please don't feel that we'll be hiding any of that information. If it is need to be shared with you, we will share that with you. In terms of if my child needs to apply for the end of September to a college, what grades do you expect to go on the chosen courses? How do you know it's the right course for them if we've not been spoken to by any subject teachers? Well, obviously, if they're applying for the Bishop One school, they will have the opportunity to talk to their subject teachers about whether that is the right course for them. During the end of lessons, during lessons, potentially they might even have that opportunity, and certainly we'll arrange for those opportunities to have those conversations. In terms of going forward with those conversations with other colleges, They might like to talk with their tutor at some time about, do you think that's the right course for me, because their tutor should know them quite well. Or of course, Mr. Levitt, I'm sure will be able to have those conversations as well. So we don't have a spot there, but I'm sure we have to have some of those conversations. In terms of the grades, you will have your Year 10 forecast grades. Now those forecast grades are the end of Year 11, so we are pretty good at forecasting our grades early as beginning of Year 10. So end of Year 10, they're pretty accurate, those grades. Of course, students, some do grow up and some have had a better experience in lockdown than others, and so they will vary a bit since the lockdown time. But that would be a good place to start of those forecast grades. Now there will be another report coming out before the end of the year, and that will secure that information further. Now colleges will use that information to allocate those courses and say yes, you're suitable for it, but of course they will make conditional or unconditional offers to different students. So take that as your first point of call. If you need additional grade, well actually that'll be the grades the teachers will forecast. They won't actually add anything else in there. So that is the report and information you need to access, and that's available on Insight. There are no other questions that I have come up since. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. If there is anything else that comes up with you after this event, then of course please do get in contact. And as I say, we'll try and publish as much of these answers after the event. Thank you and have a very good evening, and we'll hopefully see you soon.